Yeah.
So what did you do when you first started? Like, what was the first idea?
The very first video, weirdly enough, I played this stupid game and some hacker like killed my base when I was 11. And so I uploaded it. And my first video got 20,000 views like instantly. Like all the people that played the game was like, oh shit, you can hack in this game. It's a game called Battle Pirates. I guarantee you no one listening.
What is it called?
Battle Pirates. No one here has ever heard of it.
Battle card?
Battle Pirates. It was,
Battle Pirates.
Yeah, it was a really small game. But I uploaded that and I got 20,000 views. And that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me because then I was hooked from day one. Literally, most people, it takes hundreds of videos before you get like one view. And somehow the very first video I uploaded at 11 got like 20,000 views. And then I was just like, oh, I fell in love and I've been hooked ever since.
Wow. So it was kind of almost by accident.
Essentially, yeah. It was that. And then, because this was way before YouTube was even a thing. Like,
Right.
you know, no one was really a YouTuber. Hardly anyone made money.
When did YouTube first get? When did it launch?
Like 2006 or whatever.
Yeah,
YouTube was a
6, 7.
thing, but like the partner program wasn't really a thing. No one
Right.
was making money.
Right.
And it was definitely back before it was cool. Like when I was doing YouTube when I was 14 and 15, like now, you know, it's cool if you want to be a YouTuber in high school or middle
Yeah.
school. Back then, like no one gave a fuck. You know what I mean? It was like you're just worried they would try to play your videos in class or make fun of you or stuff like that for it.
So, but how did it evolve to what it is now? Was it a vision? Was it a slow, sort of a gradual increase in numbers? And
Yeah, I mean, it was about as slow as it gets. When I was a young teenager, I was getting no views, had no money, had no equipment. And so for the most part, it was just like, I was just trying to scrounge money so I could buy equipment because I was using my brother's old laptop. And so like my first couple hundred videos, I didn't have a microphone. Like imagine just like crackly, terrible voice. And so once I got monetized, I saved up for a few months. Like I told you, I bought a microphone. I can just give you a mile high history. And I saved up for like 6 months. I mean, I was just doing video game videos and they were terrible, but I saved up. I got a real computer. So now I could actually record the video game in high quality. I have a microphone. I'm like 15 and I just kept going and going, trying to figure out like what are some of like the hot spots. Like essentially up until 18, I had been doing YouTube pretty religiously, but I was making no money. Like this is kind of the turning point was when I graduated from high school. And my whole life I was like, I want to be making enough money by the time I graduated to do this full time. And I wasn't. I was still only making a couple $100 a month. So I graduated high school and my mom was like, either move out or go to a community college. And I didn't have enough money to move out, but I really I hated school with a passion. But she forced me to go to community college. That was the worst thing ever. Like that made me hate life. Like borderline suicidal. I just can't stand like having to just sit there and listen to this dumb stuff and listen to some teacher read out a book. So what I did was I would act like I was going to community college, but I would just work on videos in my car and edit and stuff like that. I had straight zeros. And so now the clock had started because once my mom found out, I was screwed.
were you aware of that? Like that you're running a risk?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I would act like I was going to college that whole time, but I wasn't. And I didn't have enough money to move out. And that was kind of when I was just like 15 hours a day, all in. I was like, I'm fucked if this doesn't work. And I had some videos pop off. I couldn't tell you which ones, but I had a month where I made 20 grand because I just had some videos just do really, really well. And then I came home and I was like, yeah, I haven't been going to college, and I moved out the next day. My mom almost had a heart attack because she didn't understand YouTube or anything back then. And she was like, man, this guy's going to work at McDonald's. I wasted all this time. Like I invested 18 years and this is what I get.
Where were you living? What part of the country?
North Carolina. That's where I've lived almost my whole life.
And so how does she feel now?
Oh, she's great.
Is she like
she's
flabbergasted?
beyond happy. Yeah, she loves it. You know, put her in front of her friends. She loves talking about it. She obviously.
Oh, I
great.
always knew little Jimmy was gonna be a success.
No, she doesn't try to hide it. We would fight all the time. Even in high school, like, you know, never once studied. I literally wouldn't even take my books home. Like I legit don't think I studied once all of high school at my house. And so we would fight a lot. I didn't have the best grades. And so I would just make videos and she didn't understand it, especially because back then it was just a whole different world. Like yeah, there wasn't really a thing as a full-time YouTuber and stuff. And so it was a lot of arguments, a lot of drama, but it ended up working out. She's happy.
The thing is, it's like nobody saw this coming, right? So you can't blame her.
But especially me in like the middle of North Carolina in a small town. I had like horrible acne. I'm you know, especially back then, really awkward. It's like no one, like people would have bet $1 million that I wouldn't be a YouTuber. You know, it makes no sense. But I just like, I have, you know, hyper obsession and I love this, and given enough time, anyone can solve it.
Well, there's a lesson in that for people, really. Like if you do have a hyper obsession to something, there's a lot of people that think that because they're bad at school or because they're not interested in school, that they're destined to be a loser.
Yeah.
And that's not true. You can, the problem with school school is too rigid. Like regular public school system, sit down, underpaid teacher, disinterested, not really connected with the work. You're not connected with it. You just can't wait to go home and do what you like to do.
Exactly.
And you get this thought in your head like, oh my God, I'm going to be a loser. I mean, that's how I was when I was in high school. I thought I was going to be a loser.
Well, and you take it a step further, because I thought, especially if you're like extremely passionate about something at a young age, where most kids are, then it's more exacerbated that it's like, I didn't talk to anyone. I hardly had any friends because I was so obsessed with YouTube. As back then, just no one cared. So it's like, I thought I was just like, just didn't even know how to speak. Like literally, I just couldn't hold a conversation with a single person because people would just tell me all you talk about is YouTube. And I would try to talk about something else. But back then I was so hyper obsessed. I literally just didn't know how to.
But what were you obsessed about? Were you obsessed about other channels, your channel?
Everything from like learning how to editing, the pacing of the videos, like ideas, what's going viral, what's trending, what's hot. Especially back then, I had no idea what worked. I mean, I had to like self-teach myself everything, even, frame rate on cameras, coloring of the video, just stuff like that.
And how did you learn? Did you learn from YouTube?
Yeah.
So like YouTube videos and tutorials or something?
Most of my growth came actually after I graduated high school. Basically what I did was I somehow found these other like 4 lunatics. Three of us were college dropouts. One was a high school dropout, and one, I don't know, he just like quit his job. We were all super small YouTubers, and we basically talked every day for 1,000 days in a row and did nothing but just like hyper study, like what makes a good video, what makes a good thumbnail, what's good pacing, like how to go viral. And we would just call it like daily masterminds. We would just get on Skype every morning, and like some days like I'd get on Skype at 7 a.m. and I'd be in the call until like 10 p.m. and then I'd go to bed, I'd wake up and I'd do it again. And we'd do things like take 1,000 thumbnails and see if like there's a correlation to the brightness of the thumbnail to how many views it got, or like like videos that get over 10 million views is like how often do they cut the camera angles, or like things like that.
Really? So you micro-analyzed
everything.
Really?
Yeah, just I mean, we were very religious about it, and so that's where most of my knowledge came from. Is I just surround myself with these lunatics, and just every day, like we didn't do anything. We had no life.
But everybody had sort of a similar vision.
Yeah, exactly. And so we all had like 10, 20,000 subscribers when we met, and by the time we stopped talking, we all had millions of subscribers, and we all hit 1 million subscribers like within a month. It's crazy because it's like if you envision a world where you're trying to be great at something, and it's just like you learning and fucking up and then learning from your mistakes. Also, my mom told me not to curse. Sorry, Mom. If someone could just like edit out the swear words and give it to me.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, so I could give it to my mom to listen to. That would be great. But like, you mess up, you learn from your mistake. You mess up, you learn from your mistake. You in 2 years, might have learned from 20 mistakes. Or if you have like 4 other people who are also messing up, and when they learn from their mistake, they teach you what they learn. Stuff like that. Hypothetically, you 2 years down the road have learned like 5 times more of the amount of stuff.